Well, guys, it's Monday morning again, and the first one to drive is Cinnamon. She gets to start out with a little bit of crappy roads, a little bit of fog, and some beautiful sights here of Ohio snow and all its glory. We were on our way to pick up a reefer load, and we was probably about 50 miles away, and the reefer started to act up. We called the fleet owner to let them know what was going on, and they informed us that more than likely we would have to cancel our load and just try to find a carrier to work on the reefer unit to see what's going on and try to get it back going. We hurried up and pulled over as soon as we could to a rest area, and we tried to start it a couple different times to see if it'd stay running, and fortunately we were ahead of schedule by an hour, so we had a little time to kill, and we still wanted this load. It wasn't a great paying load, but it was a load nonetheless that would make us some money. We did sit at the rest area for a little bit, and we decided that it just wasn't going to work out, and we had to call carrier to let them know that we had to cancel the load because we needed to get some work done to the reefer. So Cinnamon changed her route, and she started headed towards the next carrier we could find. We tried to use one in Columbus, but they were backed up for a couple days, and there was one in Cincinnati we was looking at, but they said they couldn't look at the truck until Thursday, and the part we thought might be wrong with it, we thought maybe an alternator, and they said that there's a shortage in the nation, so it was more than likely going to have to sit in some carrier shop for a very long time until that part actually came in, and who knows when that might be. Luckily we had some loads stacked up, just more loads than one. The next load was picking up in the Louisville area, and we're very fortunate we could find a carrier in the Louisville area. It was actually in southern Indiana, and they were able to bring the truck in, and the fleet owners had to pay for emergency work, which is more per hour during closing hours. They were able to figure out what was wrong with it.
And how long's it been out? About 30 minutes almost?
Seems like it. How hot did you say it was?
After we had it off for about 15 minutes, it was still at 115, making funny noises too. So it's what's it, 55, 60 in here right now?
Yeah.
So,
but you think it might have had like bad fuel, or?
no, the motor inside was making some pretty funny noises. I mean, they make a pretty consistent tick noise. If you turn your unit off, turn it back on, you'll hear it prime, and it wasn't doing that. So they got pretty hot, and then you can typically see, because this is where it feeds the fuel in, you can typically see a little flow of fuel go down it, and I would see it stop and then start up and then stop and start up, and the actual fuel line that feeds to the top was actually warm, so it was heating up the fuel a little bit.
That's crazy.
So I've never seen one overheat like that. But
Bunch of stuff I don't know about, but something about the fuel pump acting up and overheating, it was just kind of weird. But we were very fortunate that they could get us in there, and we was going to be set to pick up our next load for the next day. But what the carrier called while we was in the shop getting it worked on, and they said that they were sorry, but the next load was getting canceled by the shipper, and that was a good paying load. It paid over $2,000. It picked up one day, then dropped the next, and that's how I like them. And it's pretty unfortunate that wasn't going to work out. So the truck got fixed, and we were debating whether or not we're going to have to cancel the following load because the deadhead was so far away and it just wasn't going to work out, and we even had a load after that one. So we had a total of 4 loads for this week already set up, and 2 of them canceled. Fortunately for us, one goes towards being an actual load, and we did get what they call dry run pay. So we got a little bit of money for that. And our carrier was willing to work with us with the pay on our 3rd load, so that way we would keep it and they didn't have to find somebody to take it. We came to an agreement on a pretty good pay. When you figure it out for the week, it's not good pay for the week, but it was a good pay for that run, and it covered our miles. That load was picking up in the St. Louis area just during the storm, right when the storm began, and I mean, dang it, everything was looking good until it wasn't.
Darrick just went into Menards and got these. Here, let me show you. They go on your shoes like this. They're for ice, so for walking across a parking lot that has ice and stuff, we're not going to fall and be very injured because we're older and we can't recover as fast. So that's awesome. I'm excited about these. Good job.
Yep, there's a snowstorm / ice storm, whatever, apocalypse going across the Midwest, and we want to be
It's
ready.
supposed to be pretty severe, so.
See what happens, huh? Need to get the cats one.
That little falls.
Maybe.
No going outside, kitty.
After driving for a few hundred miles, we finally got to a truck stop that was within 30 miles of our pickup, and we're here a day early, and that's all right. It was pretty nice out for the longest time, and then it started raining and raining and raining. Wednesday morning rolls around and I wake up and Cinnamon shows me what kind of mess we gotta look forward to today. Well, today is the day we gotta pick up in the St. Louis area, and then we gotta go all the way over to Maryland.
Ow, it's hitting me.
And it just does not look like fun at all to drive in. Luckily, we're parked close enough to the road where we can kind of keep an eye on traffic nearby. It wasn't the interstate, but it's a road that I felt like they probably took care of less than what they would of the interstate. So the traffic seemed to be moving along really well, and so I felt safe enough to get to the shipper. We would take it from there. If we felt like it wasn't safe to carry on, and then we just, ask them if we could wait or just cancel the load. But we felt the roads were taken care of enough that it was just safe enough to do what we had to do. It was finally time for us to head out. We gave ourselves plenty of time to get there, and we wanted to see what kind of mess we were going to get into. We ran into a lot of roads that had that's been sleeted over and rained over freshly, and was turning into ice, and it was starting to snow immediately after that. So some roads were just kind of slushy, and we didn't test the waters by hitting the brakes like you would with your car to see if it would slide, because this truck weighs around 30,000 pounds. We knew it was slick conditions. Anybody could see that was slick conditions. There's stuff all over the road. Of course it's going to be slick. And so we just took our time. We were one of the slowest vehicles out there. We got passed by pretty much everybody except for the snow plow truck. It seemed like the closer we got to our pickup, the roads were just getting covered and covered with snow. And when we finally got to our pickup, the original address, the people directed us to another building, so we drove not too far to another place, and we were there for a little bit, and they directed us to another place, even so a third place, and they're all within pretty close, less than a mile of all of them together. So it wasn't really too bad. It was just going on little tiny streets that were covered in snow, and it was just kind of stressful situation. And to be honest, even after we picked up and we was heading to Maryland, it was pretty stressful until I got to about 33 degrees outside. It started raining again in my travels from Missouri into Indiana, Illinois. It was just raining with it being freezing, and it was just really stressful doing that. You don't want to go too fast, and you have people passing you, and you see vehicles off the road, so you're still taking your time. And I'd seen icicles hanging off the mirrors of the truck, and I just didn't feel comfortable until it was 33 degrees outside, and you could see the icicles melt away from the rain, and you just knew then things were starting to get better, but you still played it safe. Maybe now instead of doing 45 or 40 miles per hour, you do 55, and it's a 70 mile per hour speed limits, but you just be cautious. Finally, before my shift was over, I did around 400 and some miles, close to 500, but just not 500, and it ended up being around 45 degrees before my shift was over, and it was a real stress relief to hand over the driver's seat to Cinnamon, knowing that she wasn't going to have to deal with the same thing I dealt with. I checked the weather, and it looked like that part of Maryland was going to be good to go, and I think all of Maryland was good to go, and we would just have to deal with it for the next run. But after we dropped off, this load. We watched the weather and we were paying attention to it, and the sleet and the rain part was just going through the area that we would have to drive, because we were picking up in Columbus and it was going through that area, and then we're have to drop off in Pittsburgh and area, and it was just, we'd have to drive through that 2 times, and we just didn't want to deal with that all day and risk it. So we ended up canceling that load. It wasn't a real big loss. It wasn't paying that great. If we would have been able to keep all the loads we had set up for the week, I want to say it was going to be around a $5,600 week, and it wasn't even that. It wasn't a good week at all. Having maintenance issues, and then, you know, the weather. It just, times like these really make me grateful for the spring and the summertime and even the fall. It's just so much better than all this white stuff on the ground and even that shiny stuff that makes the road so dang slick.
Nothing can break me.